Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by sourcevibrations.com. I am love. I am peace. I am free. I have abundance. I have everything within me. For I was, for I am, for I will always be. We are love. We are peace. We are free. We have abundance. We have everything within us. For we are, for we will always be. For Mother Earth is love. For Mother Earth has peace. For Mother Earth is free. For Mother Earth has abundance. For Mother Earth has everything within her. For she was, for she is, for she will always be. And so it is spoken. So it has been written, and it is done.
All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight we have a great show planned for you. I am really excited about tonight's show. Something that I've been trying to put together for the past couple weeks. We've kind of been talking about it. So we have special guest Phoenix Moon, who will join us, and the topic tonight is Because Big Momma Said So, classification, racist titles. So we're going to get into who are really the indigenous people of the land. And Phoenix Moon has done a lot of research on this. She has the receipts to back it up. So she's going to come on around 7:30. So really looking forward to that. So let me bring in my co-host. Let me bring in Brother Sean. Peace and love, brother. How are you? Uh-oh. Let me try that again.
Yes.
Yep, you there? Okay, peace and love.
Yes. Peace
okay.
And love. I'm well. How about you?
I'm good. I'm well. Really excited about tonight. Let me bring on Sis Sandra just a second. Peace and love, sis.
Peace and love, family. How are you guys?
I'm
Peace
doing
and love, sis.
good. How are you, sis?
I can't complain. And I won't complain. How about that?
Yeah, because really, what good does it do?
I know, that's right.
Oh boy. So I wanted to get into a little of go head on with the fuckery until Sis Phoenix Moon jumps on tonight. So I know we kind of talked about this, but I have to bring it up again. I actually have two, but I'll go over the first one when we talk about the this doggone gun control agenda that they've been pushing pretty heavily. And so recently, I want to say last week, they had the students, and I'm doing my quotation mark, march in D.C. for gun control. So, you know, I got to thinking about it, and of course, a couple of people on Facebook immediately jumped on it. Excuse me. How can these students afford to go to D.C.? How did they get there from a funding perspective? How did they organize this huge gathering? So it smells to me
money,
like it is some type of group behind it to push this gun control. Okay, so the same thing that happened with Black Lives Matter, where we found out that Soros was behind that, funding it. So, you know, my go head on with the fuckery is, you know, let's be clear. The U.S. Corp, they don't give a damn about no violence in this nation. It's a nation that's built on violence and theft and deception. And they continue to use those same tactics to sustain it. So, you know, in order for folks to voluntarily give up any type of gun rights, it's just a way for them to have total control over the populace.
Right.
Okay. And, you know, I got to thinking about all of the other, I guess they don't call them industrialized nations, but the big nations. And most of them have already unarmed their population. I think the U.S. is the only one left out of the big nations that have not unarmed their population from guns. Okay, so I think, now this is just me, and Brother Sean, I know you sent something in my email. I was kind of listening to it a little bit about the quote reset. You know, and I've been saying this for years that it's a major collapse about to take place. Not only that, you have folks stepping up like they have done in Africa, they taking their shit back, taking land back. Okay, this financial system is pretty much a wrap. So to me, they're pushing real hard for the gun control now, and that's just on the physical level. Let's not even go to the spiritual side, where we rudely got cut off last week. Just cut us the hell off. We had like 30 more minutes. Just plumb cut us off. But anyhow, let's not talk about on the spiritual side how we have poles shifting. Folks have reported and took pictures of visibly seeing two suns in the sky in Colorado. They're seeing an rainbow cloud, and I forget where that particular state that's been floating around. So, not to mention the spiritual side taking place and these dimensions opening up. So, I believe that this whole push for gun control and these sponsored flag events that they're putting on is to unarm the population for some major events that are about to take place, and not only particularly in the U.S., but it's going to be a very quick domino effect across the planet. So I'll pause in case somebody wants to put something on it.
Yeah, I think it's just all part of their fear tactic. They just want to keep people in fear. And then also while they talking about gun control, all these officers are being acquitted one after another.
And that should tell you something, huh?
Right
Yeah.
in the midst of another shooting where we had an Al Sharpton show. Him and his perm that showed up in the building.
Damn, I didn't even get a chance to keep up with that. I didn't know that his treacherous ass had showed up. So
yeah, at the funeral, he done the eulogy. And of course, it was televised, but the guy's brother, he up on stage while Al Sharpton talking, his rhetoric. But he up there smiling, laughing, pointing his finger, licking his tongue.
Wow.
I mean, it's supposed to be your brother's funeral or eulogy.
Right, you're supposed to be mourning, right.
Right. But, I guess he was profiling, because he up there next to the perm.
Right, bobblehead. So, and I'm sorry, go ahead on, sis.
Well, that they say that 40% of that place is Jewish, right? The students are Jewish. And I was hearing that also on another blog, radio station, that the people that supposedly died didn't even have birth certificates.
Yeah, it's just some bullshit, yeah.
Yeah, and they were very organized, and you made that point very clear. They were very organized. They had lots of money backing them, and I'm going to say it like I said it. I heard that the Jews wanted to take the other Europeans down and put us back in slavery, and that's why they're pushing for this. They said they can handle us, but they can't handle the rest of them. So
they haven't been able to handle us so far, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, Brother Son, you were saying something?
Yeah, because remember that rabbi said that he got the Goyams going at it. He got the white people and the Arabs at war and got them eating their own babies. And then, he said the darkies, he said, we're good entertainment. He said they'll keep us around for a while. We're very entertaining.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
He got some entertainment for his ass.
Right, and not only that, like I keep telling people, bottom line, and like Bobby Hemmett said, and I played it several times on this show, they just selling motherfucking wolf tickets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You ain't been able to motherfucking get rid of us yet, so what the fuck is you talking about? And if I go, goddammit, you go. Because you can't exist in this plane without me, so what the fuck is they talking about? It's wolf tickets.
Indeed.
Well, this is a military-industrial complex, so no matter who fights whom, they gonna make some money because all of that's
about to end. That's really what the issue is. That's really what the issue is. If we sat and done nothing to show you how deep this thing is, even if we sat and done nothing, Mama Earth's gonna take care of this shit. She's taking care of it.
Right.
And they know that.
But think about it, though, sis. Also on another level, if we do nothing, it ends. Because everything is back in place.
Absolutely.
We got to quit playing the game. Period. It ain't about no paperwork. They know who we are.
Exactly.
What gonna file paperwork with the crooks who trying to hide our identity? We're trying to hide everything.
That's what we did with the doll rolls, right?
Right.
The dolls rolls, yeah.
They still trying to cover themselves, and they always mirroring things, creating fictitious entities off of even what we are. So, I mean, we just need to quit playing the game. It ain't about no treaties. All that stuff is up. They trying to get us to sign new treaties.
Exactly.
It's time to go. Ain't nothing else to talk about. Ain't no papers to sign. We ain't on the losing end. This is war. We got the upper hand. Y'all know it. Look, we ain't about to sign nothing. You got to go, period. That's it. You got to go.
Right.
And the more conscious we get, the more power we get. So now they're going to come out with that 5G stuff to try to bring down our frequencies again because they don't want us waking up.
And I think it's a little bit even deeper than that because we got fucking cut off last week. I was going to get into that. So I'll have to pick that back up next week to conclude with that because...
Go ahead.
Well, what's going to happen, what had happened was, and I'm trying to watch my phone so when sis texts me, hopefully she'll star one to get in the queue. So what's going to happen is last week when the brother on the video was talking about the different dimensions, when you think about space, don't think about, when you think about outer space, don't think about up. Think about going outward. And the closer you are to the center, the higher the frequency. So what they are preparing people for is to go to outer space. They're preparing people to go to that outer layer because the frequency is weaker. So that next layer over outside of us is where all of the AI and all of that shit is. And where that's Mars territory. So that's why they are talking about going to Mars and all that. So when they talk this 5G stuff, they ain't trying to lower shit. Not in this realm because they can't. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. I believe that the frequency is getting so strong that a lot of them have already slid over to that next AI dimension to be able to handle that particular frequency. And in that video, the brother was saying that he believes that's where the other entities that they talked about, the Anunnaki and all of them, are in that next dimension, and they got pushed out to that dimension as the frequency changed in our particular dimension. So that's what's going on. They are preparing folks to voluntarily, because it's going to be voluntarily, to go over to that next outer dimension with the lower frequency, and that particular dimension is going to have higher technology. But that's the thing. It's going to be all higher technology artificially. It won't be natural. Okay? And some people gonna love it. That's why they're conditioning folks' minds to the AI robots, the AI sex dolls, and all of that shit. They're conditioning the mind so people will voluntarily go over to that realm. But as far as lowering the frequency here, they already know they can't do it. They're barely holding on to the frequency rising right now. So that's what I believe is going on. So anything else about, folks saying that they're lowering the frequency, not in this realm, because they can't do it. Because that aurora borealis, or the black sun underneath us, is shooting out these higher frequencies. And as a matter of fact, reports, people have taken pictures of all of this week of purple skies, purple sunrises, frequency coming from the black sun and coming up through what they are calling the aurora borealis, going across our entire realm. That is raising the frequency on this planet. So that's what I really, really feel is going on.
Well,
you know what, though? Go ahead, sis.
I read a story about the tablets, the ones, Dead Sea Scrolls. Yeah, there they are.
Uh-huh.
And they said that there has been, 6 wars between the gods. You know, all them gods, the different planet groups and stuff you're talking about. And there's a 7th one to happen for the control of the planet. Now, this George Rose Kindred, I saw them talking about the AI technology, and they are trying to build that up so their gods can come back. Because his thing is called George Rose of Kindred presents superintelligent aliens are coming to Earth. So since they're trapped, he said, they're trying to make all this technology, and he called it demonology. They want to bring them back so that 7th battle should happen. I mean, that's a esoteric, out of there. You know, we're not on Earth anymore when we're talking this kind of stuff. As far as, you know, I can't say it's spiritual. I don't know what to call it. But that's what they're.
I mean, in his defense, he is right. Only thing is, it's not up, it's out.
Yeah.
So they are trapped in that next layer. So
that's. You're right, because that was a story that was out there on like a cartoon animated, where they came over here from the outer parts where there's hardly any sun. They came to this center Earth, and that's how they, you know, you were talking about the wall being so high that they can't get over it, and that stuff about Christopher Columbus. Yeah, it was. They said if you go to the edge of the ocean, you'll fall over. Well, they found out they didn't fall over. They found out they went into another part of the Earth because of those concentric rings on that paradise, flat Earth paradise thing.
Right.
That story is out there. I heard that story. So they're preparing for the two systems to meet up and do battle. That's what he was implying about the AI technology.
They about to get their motherfucking feelings hurt because, and so what he's saying is basically, and when we talked last week, and I'm still looking for Sis. So, and Sis Venus Moon, if you are in the queue, just press *1, and then I'll see you float up, and I'll bring you on. But like I was talking last week when the brother was explaining about cosmic egg, how the earth is breathing in and breathing out. So when the breath is in, and this happens over time spans that you calculate in ages. So when we're in the dark ages, the breath is in, okay? And those portals are closed. When we're in the golden age, which we are now, it expands. So folks think that their gods can slip through one of the portals, or the portals rather, to come over, back over into this area because we're closer to the center. So we're in a better position. We're in a higher frequency. Better land and all of that. Well, I'm assuming better land. I don't know if it's better than the other outer rings. But anyhow, that they could come back over and dominate. But the thing is, how you going to make it through the frequency? You can't handle the frequency. If you're a low vibrational being, who you getting ready to war with? Because soon as your dust ass step over the line, you toast.
Well, that's where that AI technology comes in. They're going to use them as vessels.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But that's what...
not going to happen.
Mhm.
Because if that's the case, they could have been back over here.
Right, because there were several golden ages.
Because the frequency is only getting higher. It's not getting lower. It's getting higher. So if they was all in a motherfucking bag of chips, they could have been made it back over when the frequency was lower than it is.
Right. See, that leads up to why they're upset, because the ice is melting, because there's something in the ice that's waking us up, as well as also the black sun and the Moor sun. It's speaking to our melanin, and the vibration and the noise, the hums, I understand from somebody else, the Dark Man X TV. He said the vibrational stuff that you hear in some areas is switching us and changing us, and they're not getting changed. Well, they're getting changed to, And so there's a lot of dynamics going on spiritually to keep us and getting them down and getting them off the planet. I think Dr. Phil talked about they're going to be taken off the planet because they can't.
Because they can't handle it. And how it's going to happen, and that brother explained it in that Cosmic Egg video, as the egg, the cosmic egg, which is just the shell, or if you want to call that the dome that they talk about, keeps expanding out. That pushes the vibration, the higher frequency vibration, out more and more. So even that outer layer that will have the AI the AI technology, even that's going to raise, that vibration is going to raise. So then they'll have to run to the next layer out. Then the frequency is going to expand again. And then that's going to push them totally off. And then that's when they go down to the underworld. That's what the problem is. They don't want to go back to the underworld. They think they can skip the steps. So that's what they mean by taking them off of the earth. It's literally going back down to the underworld because their vibration cannot handle the high vibration of the planet. So to me, that made total sense what the brother was saying about the cosmic egg.
That's a story where they're downloading and freezing their memories to be able to download it into another body. And they're using cryogenics. And it's interesting that the thing happened with these embryos.
With the eggs. I saw that again.
I'm still wondering who bloodline got cut off.
And it was some upset folks. They played that again this morning here. And, you know, interestingly enough, I'm sitting minding my business, and they said some rocket, I can't remember the exact name of the rocket, went into, they say, space and tore a hole in the ionosphere.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's really...
The ionosphere repaired itself.
Yeah. Okay.
Within a couple hours. Now, here you go. Now, to show you how they tell on themselves. I didn't say that. They told on their goddamn self. If you done been up to the moon, would you not know how to get past that ionic sphere without tearing something?
They can't even do the radiation.
I'm just saying.
No, come on now.
Yep.
They don't even have the capacity to ready for that yet. And that's another telling on themselves. They just talk and they just don't know what they're saying, or people not paying attention, they hope.
They're not paying attention. So they disclose we really cannot get out.
Exactly.
Oh, you hear about the China satellite that's about to crash back to Earth because it ran out of fuel?
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. I don't know where it's going to crash, though, but they think it's going to be in the ocean. Oh, my gosh. I thought they had all that.
They say they're nothing but about the size of the school bus, but my thing is it ran out of fuel.
Right.
Oh, no. Say that part.
I mean, we allegedly sending stuff to Mars, Jupiter, and all types of places, and they never run out of fuel. And
I mean, real
somehow,
far away too, right? Okay, I'm texting
right
now. Yeah,
and
real
then they're
far.
able to send back crystal clear images, and you still got blackout areas for cell phones. Places where you lose your signal, but we supposed to believe that y'all transmitting signals from light years away in space. I mean,
right.
You ain't got no cell phone tower out there.
Right, and it's interesting because once the brother and sis Phoenix Moon, if you are in the queue, press *1 so I can see you. I'm not sure what number you're coming in on. It's interesting because I thought about how far up do airplanes get in the sky, and I did not know that it's only I had the mileage. It's not that many miles, and I guess I can Google how many miles is 33,000 feet. It's not that many miles. Not at all. So you think of how far an airplane is up, which is not that many miles. I believe that the satellites that they have up are probably a few more miles above those planes, and that's it. That's as far as they can go.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's all bullshit. They keep telling on themselves. They say they're light years away, but yet you just said one of your miniature rockets allegedly tore a hole in the ionosphere, and it repaired itself in a couple of hours. But yet you just had Elon Musk with that cheap ass video saying that he sent some shit up to Mars.
Yeah, okay. They have the Van Allen belt to contend with. They have the radiation to contend with. And they got the fact that NASA is German scientists to contend with. So all this is absolute drama.
Absolutely.
And it's just really crazy.
33,000 feet is 6.25 miles.
Okay, I knew
miles.
it wasn't that much. I knew it was. I thought it was under 10, but I didn't want to quote myself. Yes, misquote myself. Yeah. So 7 miles. I'll give them 7 miles.
That ain't too far.
7 miles up in the air. That's nothing. That's not far.
Mm-mm. That's maybe why we can still see them most of the time.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Well, German took over the United States. I was listening to Darkman X, and he said that the fake Hitler is the one they have in the Holocaust and all that kind of stuff, which is fake as well. And the real one was over here somewhere. I forget where he's at. He was just chilling while the other one, his duplicate, was over there in Germany. But all of those people got out. I mean, all that stuff was such a drama. And these school shootings, and I can get back to that, these school shootings are those so-called descendants of the Holocaust people and the Jews who are playing drama again. They're good drama people. And he said, Darkman said, everywhere they go, they get kicked out because they always, doing things, trying to take over people's governments. And, and the kids are being missing. And when I remember studying once that what's they call it, the Road of Tears?
Trail
something
of
they
Tears.
said, the Road of Tears or something like that, where they said that they were accused of doing all these kidnapping, drinking the blood of children, and all that kind of stuff. And he said, that's what they do everywhere they go. Kids become taking off body parts and selling them and all that kind of stuff, and everywhere they go. And I said, wow. So maybe I think it's a Trail of Tears. Everywhere they go, they do that. Because they're running this trafficking. They're running it now. It's
yes.
Allegedly. Yeah.
Listen, Sean, you guys continue. I'm going to try to find out where Sis is at or if something's going on. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
So anyway, I was just listening to him, and I'm really interested in speaking or her being on because he always recommends her for anybody who wants to know about their heritage and what we need to do to get back on track in this country. Because as long as we stay where they want us to stay and believe all this drama, Hollywood's finest crud, somebody got all killed, and why would the gun do anything? It's the people that's doing all the shooting. The gun's not doing a darn thing. But if people are that stupid to give up their protection, my goodness, they're asking for a whole lot of trouble in your life. So that's what I think about it, Brother Sean. And like you said, I was saying the other day, beware of the beast man, because that's the thing of the Planet of the Apes in 1968. Beware of the beast man. And he's going to kill, he's going to steal, and he's going to deceive or lie. So who is that? They was telling us he's coming. Who is that? All these fake-ass flags. And I said, ass, my goodness. That's the problem. Everybody's falling for this old okie doke, these false flags. And they get all emotional. And they're not, maybe we got too much fluoride in the water. And too many things in our medicine, and our food has been so tampered with that the people are not really processing stuff. Why are we seeing it, Brother Sean?
The thing is, it's not meant for everybody to see. Got to realize that everybody on their own mission. People wake up when it's time for them to wake up, no matter what you say to them. Yes. No matter what you present them. No matter who says it. When people believe, they don't know. That's why they believe.
Well, that's a lie. They believe a lie, and they don't know. They don't have the something consciousness to see that this is all. It's all. Even in our own communities, they got agents out there to say, this is how you got to do it, folks. This is how, it's like salesmen trying to sell you your own nationality, and what they're doing is taking away your birthright. So
that's why you're supposed to know yourself. It's not something you're supposed to find outside of you.
That's true. That young man that they shot him 20 times, I wonder if they really did that. You know, you have to question everything nowadays. You have to question it all because what you see, what you hear is not truth anymore. It's all being played out for you.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. So I'm not sure where Sis is. I left her a message. So we'll see if she gets back to me. If you are in the queue, Sis, just press *1 so I can see you. I'm not sure if you're dialing in on a different number. If she's able to make it, we're going to move on and cover some of the topics. We're going to mix it up a little bit here. Okay. All righty. So, okay, Sis, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, I'm just thinking out loud.
Okay,
how come we have
mm-hmm.
the perception and everybody have the emotions? They have emotions now. Everybody's going on emotions. You know,
mm-hmm.
and they're not really thinking things through. And so, therefore, they're being deceived.
Well, and you know, it's interesting. One of the reasons I wanted to put this show together is because we've been talking about quite a bit now that it's some big changes coming down the pipeline from a physical perspective. Everybody has been talking about the reset for years, including myself. And then we also know from a spiritual perspective the different planetary shifts that's going on, planetary/energy shifts that's going on. So, you know, recently we know that the activity with Africa has ramped back up with the South Africans taking back their land. So I think, Brother Sean, you were the first person that, and I don't know if we talked about it personally or if I just saw you drop something out there on Facebook when you started talking about this 2020 census.
Oh, yeah, he
so
did.
I
yeah,
was
he did.
like, oh, that's interesting. So basically, and I'm trying to find the article, so I'm just going to go into it. And if Sis jumps on, she jumps on. NPR, they put out a article on the 2020 census that's coming up. So in the year 2020, when I say 2020, that is what I'm referring to. They are changing the questions where you cannot just check off some general shit. You have to specify your origins, your ethnicity. So you have some folks that are all up in arms, particularly what they call folks that are not citizens, that are getting scared because they don't want to answer these additional questions. So NPR, and all of a sudden my article has disappeared, National Public Radio put out an article, and they said that, matter of fact, they put it out 2 days ago. 2020 census will ask respondents citizenship status. And they put this out May 26th. Oh, so they updated it since May 26th. Well, whatever. Okay. So, and this is off of National Public Radio. All right. And they had the nerve to be breaking news. Anyway, the U.S. Commerce Department announced late Monday that it will restore a question about citizenship to the 2020 Census questionnaire. In an 8-page memo, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross says the Justice Department has requested that the census ask who is a citizen in order to help determine possible violations of the Voting Rights Act to help enforce the law. bullshit. We're gonna go a little bit more in detail with that. But NPR's Han-C Lo Wang reported on All Things Considered why the move is so controversial. A lot of census watchers, former Census Bureau directors, other census experts have said that they are very, very concerned that there already is a lot of anti-immigration sentiment, that already folks are very concerned about giving personal information to the federal government, that now if there is a citizenship question added, as the Commerce Department is announcing, that a lot of immigrants, not only those who are undocumented, but anyone who has ties to folks who are undocumented, may not want to participate in the census, and therefore they will not be counted, and that has direct impacts on how people are represented in this country. All census members are used to reappropriate seats in Congress, specifically the House of Representatives, and also these numbers have an impact on how billions of dollars are distributed around the country, from the federal level all the way down to the local level, of how school districts figure out how to divide up resources. So this could really have a big impact if immigrants are not participating in the census in 2020. Okay, so before I go any further, I just want to point out the fuckery of it all right quick. You see how it's all a money game and keeping count of the dollars, okay? Because they started out by saying that the U.S. Commerce Department ordered it, okay? They're the ones ordering this additional questionnaire, okay? So my antennas went up saying, okay, so y'all gonna claim that it's about, what seats in Congress, woo, 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 woo. But bottom line is, it's also about closely keeping ties on who is who in these households from a money perspective. Because if anybody knows anything about how commerce really moves in this country, you are the currency, you would enter and understand what I mean. Okay. So they go on to say, the last time a question about citizenship was included in the census questionnaire was 1950. Such a question is posed in the annual American Community Survey, which covers about 3.5 million people. California's Attorney General Xavier Becerra said in a statement that the state will sue the Trump administration over its decision to add questions to the 2020 census. Having an accurate census count should be of the utmost importance for every Californian. The census numbers provide the backbone for planning how our communities can grow and thrive in the coming decades. California simply has too many to lose for us to allow Trump administration to botch this important decennial obligation. What the Trump administration is requesting is not just alarming, it is an unconstitutional attempt to discourage an accurate census count. Democratic Representative Grace Means of New York issued a statement. I am deeply disappointed with Secretary Ross, and I will now look to introduce legislation to stop this question from being included on the census. As Hansen reported in January, civil rights groups disputed the Justice Department need for the data from a citizenship citizenship question to help enforce the voting right. In his memo, Ross rejected arguments that asking about citizenship will dampen the likelihood that undocumented residents will choose not to be counted for the fear that their personal information can be used for law enforcement purposes. And then it says, this reinstatement of a citizenship question will not decrease the response rate of the residents who have already decided not to respond, and no one provided evidence that there are residents who would respond accurately. So anyhow, I'll pause there. Brother Sean, I'll let you put something on it, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents.
I'm good, sis.
Okay. All right, so here's what I think. I think that, number one, if they have not done this survey since 1950, I calculated 1950 to 2020, that's 70 years. So I looked at it from an esoteric perspective and looked at it from the biblical laws. Because these folks love to use numerology because they play on energy, okay? And anybody that knows anything about numerology should know that numbers represent certain energies and frequencies, and you can calculate the ages, and you'll know what that particular energy is bringing through and use it to your advantage. So, sis, you are the Bible scholar. What does the 7 represent? What happens every 7 years biblically?
That's the Jubilee.
Right.
And debts are supposed to be forgiven, and servants are supposed to be slaves, servants, they call us, slaves are supposed to be set free. And if they want to stay, they can stay. And you're supposed to give them reparations and food and a place to stay. But, they ain't kept one of them yet.
Right. And I find it interesting because now not only that, they're deciding to do it in 2020, this 2020 year. And sorry, family, I don't know where Sis Phoenix is. I tried to reach out to her. So if you are in the queue, sis, just press *1 so I can see you, so you can join the conversation. So the year 2020 has been popping up quite a bit here lately from a spiritual perspective. I've heard about 3 people talk about something big going on in 2020. The brother that was talking about the cosmic egg even talked about the year 2020, where he felt that the vibrational shift in this particular plane, the vibration is going to get so high that if you are not on that frequency, you're going to have no choice but to move to that next layer. So I found that very, very interesting. I've heard other folks say that we will totally have a different monetary system by the year 2020. So I found it very interesting that they're changing up that Census questionnaire to talk about citizenship, and right on the helms of Africa, flat out kicking out South Africans, telling them you have to turn back over the land. You're not going to get compensated for it. So I feel that something definitely is brewing with that census. Now, they already know how many of us there are. Make no mistake about it. Because if you are currently classified as Negro, I'll have to go back to colored. I know a lot of us may not be that old where colored is on your birth certificate. But if colored is on your birth certificate, and that's probably like grandma and them, grandma and them that had birth certificates. Let's be clear, because that's another story. Because they didn't start issuing those BCs until like 33, something like that. So that means that's when they really start classifying people. The start of that BC. That's when they started monetizing the BC. And that's how the Department of Commerce is involved. Okay? So that's why in the very beginning of that article that I read with NPR, they said it's the Department of Commerce that is mandating the additional questions be put on this 2020 census. Okay? But my point being, not that they don't know who you are, because they do. If you have colored, Negro, a lot of us probably have Negro in my generation. I think they started changing it on the birth certificate. Somebody told me they started changing it, and I forget the year. I want to say in the 80s when they took Negro off. And any of you that have babies, you should know what they're classifying it as now. I don't know if it's black now or if it's African American. But either way,
They have nothing.
What do you mean they have nothing?
They have nothing. They just leave it blank. Huh?
Okay. Okay. So now they're not putting race on there at all.
Nope.
That's very interesting.
When we spoke to California, they said it's unconstitutional to do that. And I said, well, they didn't think about that when they were sticking it on mine. So it's blank.
Wow. Okay.
But see, if they said Negro or colored, that usually meant that you were Aboriginal.
That's right. It's a code.
Right.
It's a code. That's
code.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a code. Absolutely. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
And it's supposed to be the lost tribe code too, Judah. So for the Negro, it's supposed to be the lost tribe of Judah. But since you wanted to talk about the Bible or the codes, do you know in Daniel 9:24 it says 70 weeks are determined for your people and for your holy city to finish the transgression, to make an end of sins, to make reconciliation for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, and seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Now, I read this because in 1948, they set up the city of Israel, the state, whatever they call that thing.
Yeah, whatever, right.
Yeah, so their 70 years is up next month. In May. So, and when you guys keep saying that 70 years, I keep remembering 70 years has been determined. So they're supposed to, that shift that you're talking about, it's supposed to start getting rid of the ungodly, unrighteous people on this planet, just like you said.
Well, and so that would make sense. And thanks, sis. Sis just texted me that 1985 is when they removed Negro and colored off of the BCs. Okay. So I don't have any babies, so I wouldn't know that. So you're right, sis, Sandra. That makes sense. Thanks, sis. Yeah, but okay, so if you're reading that out of the biblical scripts, and let's be clear, I'm not saying that the biblical scripts are the end-all, the be-all. By any means, that's not what I'm saying, because it was written definitely in code.
And
it was, written for different purposes. Okay. But that 70 years always has an important meaning. And just to translate that enteric perspective, that 70 years this time around represents the big polar shift
Yep.
and the big high vibrational energy surge.
Right.
Okay. So I think, now this is just my 2 cents. That doesn't mean that it means any damn thing, any of that. That 2020 census, they are putting it out there with those additional questions, wanting to see how many of the Aboriginals are going to put on there who they
Black.
really are. So
Right.
meaning, and I had the actual questions, y'all. Shit, I'm really pissed. I cannot damn find it. I had pulled that's what they did, y'all. Damn it. You know what they did? That article that I just read you, they snatched the questions off there. Because earlier this week when I read that, they actually had the questions on there. And the questions got real specific. When it got down to race, they listed out they said black / they got really specific. They got down to the islands. They got down to American Indian. And then if you said American Indian, then they had a slot for you to write in the tribe.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was really, really specific. So I looked at that with my mouth fucking hung open. And the same thing goes for if you say you Hispanic. If you say you Hispanic, then you have to list what you mean by Hispanic. You got to get motherfucking specific. So meaning you have to tie yourself to the particular land or region.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why some folks are getting scared, and I couldn't remember how they said with white. I think white was like European, something like that. And so
North Africa, 1871.
Huh?
They have that Naturalization Act of 1871. And anybody who's in Northern Africa, they're considered white.
Okay, let's talk about that. Because I wanted Sis Phoenix Moon to come on and talk about that, but we're getting ready to talk about that. Because that's
okay.
It's going to be a lot of hurt motherfucking feelings. And it's not to hurt anybody's feelings. We're just putting the facts out here. Now, if you have something that you feel is contrary or whatever, please feel free to get in the queue to discuss it. But we got to call it for the way it is. This whole North Africa thing. Let me pull up my motherfucking map, y'all. Because some of the material that Sis Phoenix Moon presented was an ancient map of, quote, what's called Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me pull it up, y'all. So that particular map doesn't even show Africa as it is today. And as a matter of fact, I have that map in the promo. So if you are online, you can see that map on the actual promo. It's like the second picture. I'm trying to pull it, so bear with me, family. Okay, come on, Mappy Map.
Sis.
Uh-huh.
Looking at the etymology of Africa, it's Latin, Africa, terra, African land, Libya, the Carthaginian territory, the province of Africa. Africa is a continent, feminine of adjective, Africas, from afar, an African, a word of uncertain origin. The Latin word originally used only a reference to the region around Tunisia. It was gradually extended to the whole continent.
Thank you. So you said the area was
around modern Tunisia. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so I'm looking at this ancient map of Africa and North Africa, and if you want to know what I'm talking about, in the promo to this show tonight, I put this map in there. It's the second picture from the cover photo. And you're going to see Africa, but you're going to see it north. And you're not going to see this entire continent like Brother Sean just talked about. You're going to see just a little piece of it, and I'm trying my best to make this out. I don't know why I can't make it out here, but it's below Libya, and I can't think of the next two countries. I can't see the next two countries next to it. So Tanzania is probably one of them, like Brother Sean said. So the point being, if the ancient maps are showing Africa is only this small region in the north, what the fuck are they talking about? And this map, I think it's like from the 1500s. I will have to go back and look at the date on this. It could be earlier. It could be between the 1200s and the 1500s. Okay, so my point being, we as melanated indigenous people to the Americas have to really wake up and be careful who we say we are, okay? And specifically, I'm going to get into some stuff that may hurt some feelings, but it is what it is. This whole movement about Africa, and we talk about the whole Africanism, the red, black, and green, the go back to Africa. It's kind of dangerous because when you do that, you are separating yourself from your birthline, your birthright, your bloodline, your blood ties on this land. Okay? Mm-hmm. Second piece I'm going to talk about is going to hurt a lot of people's motherfucking feelings. It is what it is. I don't have anything against this group as a whole. I just think that they're misinformed. A lot of them are misinformed. I think those that are higher up in the ranks that take the oath, they know what's going on, but they're trying to trick you. We got to talk about this whole Moors stuff with this motherfucking North Africa and Mexum saying that this is North Africa. We're on a Mexum when the ancient maps clearly does not show that. It shows a clear separation.
Right.
Okay. So then if you start to get into a little deeper, well, why are they even doing that? You know, and again, for the most part, the majority of folks are just studying information that is given to them, that's been passed down from other people, and then other folks have added on to it, but it's just not so. North Africa was clearly distinct. It was separate. It was Islamic nation, so that's where all of that Islam stuff comes from. And you know,
sorry, I got you on. I was just saying get this.
It's okay.
I'm trying to look at the map, but your voice can't. Oh, let me turn this radio off.
Okay, so yeah, I must be echoing.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, you know, I'm trying to find the map you're talking to.
Yeah. You have to right-click on it and then copy it and paste it in something else. Okay,
yeah,
so
Go ahead.
Okay, so that whole Moorish movement, even with the noble Drew Ali, that is all the way tied to Islam. The purpose of Islam was to spread that particular ideology across the planet. And if you look at that Circle 7 Quran, it pretty much says out the gate on the first front page that, everyone is below Islam if you are not a part of Islam. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I could never get the connection with the Moor stuff. Well, that's not what the indigenous people practice. They didn't practice Islam. So how the fuck are they saying that this was always North Africa and this was always Morocco? So I'm saying all that to say, even with that, with classifying yourself as a Moor, be careful, people. Be very, very careful.
Well,
a Moor is a North African.
Yes. Yes,
Morocco.
It is.
Yeah, Morocco.
Yes, it is. Yeah, but I mean, quite frankly, Brother Sean, that's not what these brothers are teaching.
No, it's not.
They're teaching that North Africa is this land over
right.
here in the Americas. It's always been here over here in America, in the Americas, and you need to classify yourself as such.
Right.
So if you classifying yourself as North Africa, you have just divorced yourself from this land.
That's right.
That's the reality of it. The next thing I've heard folks talk about, this SF 181 form. Let's talk about this shit. This is a form that folks have been going around talking about in a lot of fucked up paperwork documentation to fill that form out to change your classification race from black or either African American to white. Because you're really the white people.
White and American Indian is what they say, but
yeah, white and American Indian.
You can't have it both ways.
Exactly. So if you're looking at the census form, and I hate they snatched the new one down. Damn, that's what they edited out of that NPR article. White is European.
Right. You can't have it both ways.
From Europe. So how's that American Indian?
It's not. Because if you look at that S181, it tells you that white is North Africa and over there in Europe. And you can't have it both ways.
Exactly.
And you really have to have kind of good sense because they put the color of Indian up on the screen. That's not us anyway. But that's what they'll see in their mind if you say American Indian. They're going to see that white boy anyway, so why are you going to even add that white in there? It's just going to muddy up the system. They won't even know what you're talking about. So if they think you're black American, or African American, that's what they call you, then they're going to put you as black if you do both of those categories. And, that's one of the conversations my son and I have had. And I said, you can't do it that way because they're using the 1871 Naturalization Act, saying that you have to be born on this map thing that you have on your blog thing on the internet. You have to be born in them other upper countries. And that was, I believe they did that to give the Jews the title of whites. Now, that's what I believe they gave it to us.
And I kind of agree with you, and I think that they put the titles over here to muddy up the waters, and they did a good job because
Right.
So, and not only the indigenous people, us, but even the Caucasian people, because they motherfucking forget real, extremely motherfucking quick where they really came from.
Yep.
Because they're looking at the classification, well, I'm white, I was born here, but your ancestors are not indigenous to this land. You're indigenous, you can claim Europe, okay?
Right.
So I'm saying to the melanated folks, the indigenous people here, if this is where you want to be, if this is where you believe your ancestors are from, be very, very careful fucking around with this paperwork, going into these different groups, classifying yourself as something that you think that you are, but it's going to totally mean the opposite. Okay? So, and some folks have even gone so far as to legally change names, got 2-3 motherfucking birth certificates. My mouth just kind of flew open. So be very, very careful. If your intent is to be tied to the land, tied to your birthright. Now if you really want to go with these groups, go for it. But just kind of be clear. There is no guarantee. I'm just going to be honest. I think it's going to fuck you up all the way. I really do. If you're classifying yourself in a different category, saying that you're white, saying that you're from North Africa, saying that I think it's going to fuck you up. I'm just going to be real, real honest, because already folks they're brushing it under the rug who the indigenous people are. They're already masking you with Negro and colored and African American. If you turn around and muddy it with something else, I don't know, y'all. So be careful. We're let me get 832, and then I'm gonna go into this a little bit deeper. Okay, 832, your line is open. Let me check again. This board is kind of acting up. 832. All right, 832, you're going to have to get back in the queue. I cannot hear you, sweetheart.
Hello, Rhonda.
Okay, I can hear
Hello?
you now. Uh-huh.
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. How are you this evening?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
All right. Blessings to you, Sean, Sandra. Let me get straight to the point, because I don't want to make it seem like this is bashing Prophet Noble Drew Ali or what people that may be misguided, whether they call themselves Moors or not. Right. I'd rather deal with one factual thing that we need to hopefully focus on, and this might bring the correct attention to all people who are inaccurately described as Negro, colored, black, or African American. Mm-hmm. Empress Vera Diace Gostin Turner Elvay, if you're familiar with
Bring
her,
it, brother. Bring it.
Has already established, authenticated, and documented with the United Nations that we are the most ancient tribe of people on God's green earth, and we are called Washita. Now, I could care less what other tribes may want to characterize themselves and get in line. But when you start with that fact, that should put a lot of this to bed, though it won't. But if we can start with that fact, then we can start tying 23andMe genetic markers. You see all this bogusness going on with Ancestry.com, making the Caucasian believe that they're this mishmash. and all these goddamn pie charts that's showing them having multicultural bloodlines.
Yeah,
You have one that had the gall to all of a sudden call herself Native American, $5 Indian. All right?
Mm-hmm.
If we can start with something like that, and can you please, I would hope, Rhonda, maybe do a show on that and that point alone, and start from that as like using the root and the analogy of a family tree. They are one and the same. Did you get my drift?
Yep.
And so if we could start something like that, get a copy of the tree with the Washita root, a copy of the United Nations Declaration of Rights for Indigenous People. I do not say this to be authenticated by so-called Caucasian Europeans, because when the truth gets revealed who Europa is, they're not even from Europe.
True.
Now,
True.
You pointed out last week that the Australian thieves, and I'm only talking about them talking about themselves, they are the only ones that are true to their nature and are proud to be debtor prison and prisoners from the prison colony called Great Britain.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
You have said that they are preparing to receive these refugee Canner Deutschland Nazi colonists.
Yes.
Wakanda. Okay?
Yep.
So I really don't care whether it's Gaia, Pangea. When we walk the face of this earth, it's all mine. You follow me? And I'm not saying that we can actually claim something as human beings, but you do claim it when you claim birthright inheritance. When there's discussion about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, put Islam aside and any other religion, including the Catholic Church and all the 600-plus denominations of Christianity. Deal with inheritance, legacy, and fact. Are you feeling me, my sister?
I'm with you.
I am so excited. I am so excited that you brought this up because the context of discussion gives us about 2.5 years. And we can focus on 2019 and the fraud that a lot of these ignorant Negroes and these Christian pacifists are going to talk about our historically being here for only 400 years. You know how they push this time back from 1619, originally it was 1607. We're supposed to have been proud of Barack Obama becoming president, but now they're pushing it back to 2019. Okay? I'm on part on this fact. If there are 4 people on this land when these European colonizers invaded our home, 3 of them were at home and 1 may have come transported with them. Do you think they asked any of them, were you here or did you come in a boat when they put a shackle on your dark melanated behind? And I yield.
All right, brother. Thanks. Peace and love. You brought it. You brought it. I cannot argue with you at all. You 1,000% brought it. And since I was not as prepared as I'd like to be tonight, I will definitely revisit this and have my ducks more in a row to present the information myself. I was relying on our guests to do it, but the brother brought up some very good points. Let's talk about them 1600s. The 1600s are very, very, very key because that's when those Indian wars started kicking off, okay? So now, this part is going to be controversial. I don't know this for sure. I don't have the receipts. I will do more research to get the receipts. I was, kind of depending on my guest that had the receipts for me tonight. But what had happened was the Moors from North Africa, we got to be motherfucking truthful.
Yep.
They came over to the land. They showed the Spaniards Moors ruled Spain for how motherfucking long?
711
years. Exactly, 711 years. Okay, they got conquered. Okay, but the Moors were also known as world travelers in their defense. Okay, so meaning they were in North Africa, and if you look at the map on the show promo tonight, you're going to see how small Africa really is. It's in the north. It's almost in like a state. Kind of think of it like the size of a state here in the United States. Okay, so they were world travelers. They traveled to Europe. Matter of fact, what they are calling Africa is really, they're saying part of Asia, so whatever. They were familiar with traveling to Asia. And then this over here, the Americas were known as the New World. The conquering of this New World, the Americas, started in South America. And it was more navigators. Now, you can easily fucking find this information. Cortez talked about it, that he had a Moor navigator that showed them how to get to these shores. Okay? The Moors ruled over in England for I don't know how many centuries. So, as you start piecing together the story, the economies of their different systems, because they started trading on commerce, stood up a banking system. So all of those, what do you call them, Medicis, Medicini, all of them were melanated Moors. All of the royal court were melanated Moors. Okay, all across Europe. So they stood up their banking systems and all that jazz. Meanwhile, over here in the Americas, we lived off the land. We didn't have that type of monetary system that they were particularly using. Not only that, our land is much more fertile over here. Okay. So, long story short, their economies started collapsing in these European nations, and they started warring with each other. So, France and Britain and Portugal and all of that, and then in the midst of it, they were their indentured servitude, which were the Caucasians. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. If we're going to tell motherfucking truth, let's tell it all the way. The Moors were enslaving the Caucasians, but they called it indentured servitude. So meaning you were somebody's slave until you paid off debt. Okay? So in the meantime, they started grooming and teaching their indentured servitude, the Caucasians, reading, writing, the banking system, all of that jazz, this, that, and the third. So around this time, the Caucasians started, as the melanated Moors were collapsing in power because they were warring, let's be clear, they were warring with each other for territory. They started collapsing. Some of the Caucasians started moving into power. I would assume it would have to be the Moors that were putting them into power for whatever strategic motherfucking reason. Okay? They started to seek out new places because their European economy had essentially collapsed. So that's where the New World, meaning us, came into play. Okay, so that's why those first, what they call settlers, which makes my stomach vomit to call them settlers. If you go back far enough and look at some of the records, like looking like the state of New York, you'll find like Portugal came here to quote set up settlements, and they made agreements with the natives or the aboriginals of the land to just do commerce on the land, not to own the land. Then other nations started coming over, and these were Caucasians coming over, but the Moors were originally sending them over here to set up colonies and to send a portion of the profits, or most of the profits, back to the crown. Okay, but in the meantime, it started out with them supposedly and allegedly making agreements to lease the land with the aboriginals. Okay?
Right.
It's a really, really good video on YouTube, and I am going to post it. I posted it before, and I'm going to post it again, where they talk about literally how the entire Manhattan, New York area was built out from these different nations, the Portugal, the Britain coming over, making agreements, and then it got to the point where all hell broke loose. Was when they wanted, the Portugal and the Dutch were the first. When the Dutch wanted the indigenous people to pay taxes, and the indigenous people said, who the hell you talking to? You can't be talking to me to pay taxes on my shit. And that's when the battle started taking place, because it got to the point where they didn't want to pay the indigenous people for leasing the land. Matter of fact, they wanted to switch the shit around and have them pay taxes. And so that's when the Indian Wars started kicking in. And they started, taking more and more territory. Okay, so I'll pause in case somebody want to put something on that.
Moors are black and white, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me that they came up with black or more for the Moors that were a little bit darker.
True. Very good point, Brother Sean.
Africans are white.
Right.
I mean, look at the term, the etymology of African. Old English Africanus, plural, native or inhabitant of Africa, from Latin Africanus, or Africa. Used of white residents of Africa from 1815.
1815 now, but go ahead on, brother.
Used of black residents in the U.S. from 18C, when it especially meant one brought from Africa, and sometimes was contrasted to native-born Negro.
Yep.
As an adjective by 1560s pertaining to Africa or Africans. From 1722, of or pertaining to black Americans.
Mm-hmm.
But it's saying they're contrasted to native-born Negro. They weren't called Negroes over there.
Right. So now you're reading from the online etymology dictionary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he's saying this to say, family, which is very, very important, and which is why we're having these conversations, and which is why I brought up that 2020 census, is you have to start paying attention to the etymology of these words, of their origins, to enter and understand what is really going on. Because if you just trace this back, he just simply put in the etymology dictionary African. And it pretty much told you white residents of Africa from 1815. And it pretty much told you how it was used as a contrast to native-born Negro. Okay? So this is why it's important with the classifications that you not get caught up in the fuckery with I'm from Africa, I'm white. So what are you really saying? You're divorcing yourself from the land. I'm sorry, go ahead on, sis.
There's another thing, too. If you look at Webster's dictionary, dated 1828, they show that the originals here were copper-colored.
Yes.
So you can't say you were white. White means pure. White means first. And that's what they use that trickery to say that gives you the privilege to say you're white. Well, Aborigine gives you the same privilege without saying you're white, because once you say you're white and you're looking at the legalese of the system, you're going to catch yourself up and have no place to go, because over in Africa, they don't like you. They consider you white.
And here it even gets deeper, because, and I was just chopping it up with one of my sis before I jumped on the air tonight. Let's discuss this whole I'm from Africa thing, and the brother even brought up about this whole DNA shit, because, you know, they doing fuckery with that too.
They are.
Okay.
They are.
Here's the thing, people. I did a DNA test, it was 20-something years ago, okay? They traced my ancestry back to Sierra Leone. Okay,
yeah, but
you know,
Sierra Leone, that's where they took slaves from here. The slave trade was in reverse.
Exactly. But I did not know
Liberia.
that at the time, Brother Sean. I didn't know that shit at the time. So I'm scratching my head like, okay, well, what I expected the test to come back and say, okay, I can see them saying I have some African mix, because who knows who didn't mix with who over here, but I expected it also to be some native Indian mixed in there too. The motherfuckers didn't come back with that at all. Okay, they came back with Sierra Leone. So I was chopping it up with somebody else, and they said, yeah, you know, my stuff came back Sierra Leone. Lo and behold, the whole Sierra Leone and Liberia were territories over in what we now call the continent of Africa, the west side. And it was an experiment where they were trying to colonize it, but they were shipping us from here over to those particular areas. So specifically, they were saying that they were shipping the freemen. Okay, so, and they classify freemen, let's be clear, because this shit was deep when I discovered what the classification of freemen meant. What it meant was blacks who had never been slaves. They had never been slaves. Keep that.
Right.
They're black, but they had never been slaves. That was one category. The second category was blacks that were recently freed slaves, but they wanted them off of that territory because they were was feared to either be troublemakers or they did not want to have to support them. So they told them, you gotta get a job, you gotta motherfucking do something. So these particular people were caught between a rock and a hard place, because if they didn't get have a means to support themselves, they were going to put them in jail, If they ran to another state, then they were subject to be recaptured, or captured rather, and being put back as slaves. So the other motherfucking offer was to be shipped over to Africa. And the two places that they shipped them were Sierra Leone, and the second place was Liberia. Now,
there's another.
What was the other place? I hadn't heard of the third place.
No, not another place. There's another reason they shipped them over there. It's because it was too many of us. And get that, it was too many of us here, and they need to control us better.
Exactly. And supposedly, now I don't know how true this is, but after the Nat Turner revolt,
right,
that they got scared and really wanted to start breaking it up and shifting people out of here. So that is why in Liberia, and I pulled a motherfucking map of Liberia, the ancient map of Liberia, and I got this map off of one of Sis Phoenix's thing that she did on this. Where Liberia, wait, let me pull this bullshit up, y'all. It's going to trip y'all out just a second here. And this is on the promo, too. It's a couple of slides in. But this particular one, if you look at the ancient map of Liberia, the particular territories that they show, my mouth was just blown open, y'all. We cannot make this stuff up. Hold
Republic of Maryland.
Yep.
Republic of Pennsylvania, Republic of New York. That's where they ship slaves from.
Yep.
Shipped Aboriginal POWs from.
Prisoners of war, right. Mm-hmm. So you look at this ancient map of Liberia, and
look
again, this is all in the promo. You can go to the promo and pull this picture. They literally show this map is clearer than that Africa, a little bit more clearer than the Africa. They literally have New Georgia on here, Pennsylvania colony, Mississippi colony, Louisiana colony, Maryland colony.
Oh, that's how can they lie like that there? That was ours. They said that all that, in our little dynamics, we're not going to bash them, but they say that they had Pennsylvania. Well, it's on this map right here, but it ain't the one over here.
Well.
That's where they shipped them from.
That's where they ship. Yep, that's where they ship the indigenous people that were on those particular lands to Liberia. And let's be clear, even when they shipped them over there, they were displacing the natives on that land.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they went over on these folks' stuff in Liberia, fucking with them. And then to make it worse, they put melanated people over these different colonies.
Oh.
Christians now. You got to remember they had to be good Christians. They had to be good Christians. They had to be good Christians.
And pay the taxes back to the states. And so war broke out over there because the natives was like, wait a minute, who the hell is you to come over here invading our land, telling us what to do?
That's why they don't like us. People talking about, I don't see why Africans don't like us. We they brothers. We the ones that shipped away. No. They don't like you because we went over there. Some of us got sent over there, and we went over there trying to enslave them.
Right. Tried to institute slavery. So basically what had happened to us over here, they shipped the freemen, some of the freemen, not all of them, some of them, a small portion of them, over to Liberia, over to Sierra Leone, displaced the natives, and then tried to turn around and enslave the natives for labor and for payment so they can keep up with the taxes to send back and sustain an economy over in Liberia. They did not use Caucasian faces to do that. Let's be fucking clear. Those slave owners over Liberia were melanated folks. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had their own constitution. They had their own money, everything.
Yep. Wrote their own constitution based on the constitution over here, which I feel that the Moors wrote the Constitution over here. Shit, I don't have to feel it. That's what the fuck they say. Isn't that not what the Moors say? Or am I lying on them?
Well, the Iroquois...
Did they not say they wrote the Constitution?
The Iroquois worked the first part of it, and then I think the Moors wrote the second part.
Right, because there's actually two.
Right. And that's when the Iroquois got displaced, I think, because after the Iroquois Confederacy was put down, then the federal government over here in 1787 got stronger with their constitution. And the Iroquois left and went to Canada. I was just studying that stuff.
Yeah, but which Iroquois was it? I mean... the Aboriginals didn't call themselves Iroquois. That's the quote-unquote Native Americans. That's the $5 Indians and the treaties that they drew up with the corporation. Yeah, they had nothing to do with us.
Didn't have shit
to do with us.
They keep tying everything together. They keep putting them $5 Indians and everything in the corporate names that they came up with.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they named a lot of tribes, and that's really, like the brother said, we're all Washita.
And and no offense to him, I don't even claim that.
No.
Exactly. Because they're recognized by them. I don't deal
because
there
was some fuckery in that also.
They took the land from her.
Exactly.
Yeah, they did.
So I don't want nothing to do with that. Absolutely.
Because also with that 2020 census, when they have people get specific, even as far as for the Aboriginal people, and you get to claiming these quote-unquote Native American tribes, then they're going to ask you what your are you federally recognized?
Yep.
So that's going to be the other snag in that, whether or not you're recognized.
And even if you're recognized, I'm sorry, go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off.
In order to be recognized, that means that you have to have drafted some type of new treaty with them. You have to come and be recognized at the United Nations that you are that you don't have any prejudice without prejudice.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That you're willing to accept your little cut and shut the fuck
up. Down. Exactly. And sit the fuck down. Exactly. That's why none of them go to the United Nations saying, get off my shit, because they done already cut a deal. You either get this territory, will recognize you as sovereign, will give you a casino. So that's what that's about. I totally agree. I wouldn't even want to go up under the federal.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, but how the United Nations gone back Aboriginal people when all of the power players themselves are quote-unquote Caucasians and have killed off the Aboriginal people? I mean, for you to restore one group of Aboriginal people, you got to do it at home, too.
Exactly.
Wow,
and I'm just bringing up that as an example because none of them have really stood up large amounts of land back. So that was my point. If it was all so legitimate, this particular such and so nation, then why the fuck you ain't got back from
anything?
What that particular land mass that the Washita say that they're connected to, because it was another name before that. It was not Washita, but in
1794, it was called Louisiana.
No, it's another video. I'm going to post it for you all. It's a sister who she said she woke up, her family
Oh, that
woke
one,
up.
I heard her.
Yeah. And she said she was in Florida. And now they call it Louisiana. And then they woke up, and it was Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
And her people, she did not say they were Washita.
No.
They were something else. So my point being, that land expanded from the lower part of the South. So from Louisiana all the way to Florida.
They used to call them Seminoles in Florida, but they didn't change They said they changed the name so much.
Yeah, and it's all trickery and fakery and all of that shit. So, I mean, what can you do personally? I mean, the title of this show is Because Big Momma Said So. What the fuck did your ancestors tell you? And if you don't know and you want to know, start digging. Because I can guarantee you, if you still got Big Momma and them around, that's like 80-something, I can guarantee you they going to tell you which particular land your family owned. And it goes back generations, and it's going to be a lot of land that they talk about. So the point of this show that I wanted to get across to the family is to pay attention to not box yourself in these titles, because it's becoming very, very important, and not just from a physical perspective, because the physical shit is going to be worked out anyway, because it's spiritual, and the way the energy is moving is going to correct everything anyway. But to keep your mind clear, to keep you to help you to know thyself and master self, drop the title, drop the classifications, the groups.
Right.
Because there's webs upon webs upon webs upon webs. Rely on your ancestors. Research your family tree. I know most of the melanated people, I shouldn't say most, because you do have some melanated people that are lineage come from the north, specifically like the Northeast and the Midwest. We have a lot of us from the Midwest. Shit, Chicago, DeSable, at least they do goddamn recognize him as the founder of Chicago, a melanated man. Okay, so you are supposed to be going to your ancestors. It's what Big Momma and them told you you are. Not what no group told you, what Noble Drew Ali told you, what brother from Temple from motherfucking such so said, what this one and that one said. It's what your ancestors told you you are. They're going to be the ones to be able to give you that answer. Okay, so I'll pause. I need to pull up my notes in case somebody else want to put something on it.
Yeah. Wasn't nothing about Africa ever spoke about in my house coming up. I didn't hear nothing about that to roots.
I didn't either. To be honest, it didn't come up until roots.
Oh, that we came from Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah. Never heard
and it
of
wasn't
such
Big Mama and them saying it now. It wasn't Big Mama and them saying it. It's just that the shit came on television, and then in school, I don't know about, when you all was in school, but they pushed that shit into the curriculum. You had to watch the shit each night and come back and do a motherfucking book report on it.
Exactly.
But you're right.
That's right.
I had never heard of no motherfucking Africa story until Roots came out.
It was an insult coming up when you crack jokes on people. When you saw somebody that was heavily melanated, you tell them you black ass African. That was an insult.
Right.
And to be called black was an insult.
Right.
I remember when those was fighting words.
I hated that word. I hated that word so bad. But they kept saying it, and I said, ugh, I ain't black. Don't talk to me. Or colored. Oh, my goodness. I don't like to
And it's interesting. It was a post put out earlier today talking about how even the whole Africa movement that started in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, was started by two white men.
Ungawa Black Power or something like that, wasn't it?
Right. They once again, they indoctrinated it into college course curriculum.
Right.
Now, think of how fucking deep that is. Two white men started the African movement. And not only that, they incorporated it into the curriculum. So I just found the post. The creators of African studies meet the fathers of African history, the anthropologists who created these fields of African American studies and African studies in today's university and institutions. They were the teachers of W.E. Du Bois, Zora Neale Hurston, and among any others. So this was Frank Boas, B-O-A-S, I think. Boas. Yeah, Boas. And then Melville Herkovitz. Now, both of them were born in the late motherfucking 1800s. Are you all getting this picture?
Oh, wow.
Okay, 1858 to 1942, 1895 to 1963. That 1800 time frame was when the takeover had well happened, but we were still recognizing ourselves as indigenous to this land. Okay, so then they came up with putting it in the school system yet again.
Brainwashing.
To rewrite history. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm sorry, go back. I'm sorry, brother, go ahead.
Keep out the definition of Africanism, 1640s, in reference to qualities of Latin peculiar to writers from Roman Africa, especially church fathers from Africa plus ism, by 1836 as mode of speech peculiar to African Americans, from 1957 in reference to political development of African nations or peoples.
So just to make sure we hear you clearly, what happened in the 1800s with the definition of African
That was used. It was used as a mode of speech peculiar to African Americans. So when they started pushing the agenda, that it wasn't accepted.
Exactly.
Land grabbing.
Exactly. So to further push the agenda like they always do, they put it into the school systems and literally created a curriculum around it called African Studies. How the fuck you gonna have two white men put together? It's just bullshit. Your own history, and then taught it to one of the leaders, W.E.B. Du Bois.
Yes, you're very popular.
Which just basically turned around and regurgitated it.
Right. Repeat this, Joseph.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
African American. There are isolated instances from the late 18th and 19th century, but the modern use is a reinvention, first attested 1969 in reference to the African American Teachers Association, which became the preferred term in some circles for U.S. Black.
Wow.
African American Teachers Association. So they brainwashed the teachers first. And the teachers have been teaching this bullshit too.
That would make sense. That would make
so
sense.
That's how they control again, huh? Mind control.
That would make sense. So that would make sense to about time that Roots came out in the 70s when we were in grade school. Because I had melanated teachers back then.
So how much did Alex pay?
Well,
that
whole Alex Haley stuff, I heard it was a lot of fuckery with that anyway.
That sounds like it, just by what you just said.
Yeah.
He was a tool. He was a tool like all the teachers were tools.
Exactly.
I used to hate this American. What am I?
But he got sued. He plagiarized. He flat out stole.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
He stole?
That's what I heard.
Somebody else
from a
white guy.
It
was a white guy's work that he copied.
Right.
Yep. That's what I heard. But did he not present that as his own family tree, or am I remembering incorrectly?
That's what he said. He said, come to Chicken Georgia now.
That's what I thought, because we had to report on that shit every night. That's what I thought. Kizzy and all them.
I didn't watch that.
Granddaddy had 1 foot. He had 1 foot.
Right. He got it cut off, this, that, and the third. Right.
Yeah, Toby in there. Toby.
Right.
I don't think I watched. I don't want to see that mess.
Right.
You heard what Mag St. Clair told him, though. He said, I ain't no African. I was American. My daddy and my grandma and them was born right here.
Yep. That's true. That's true. So it just shows you how deep it ran, because we went from around the 1800s, we knew that our ancestors knew exactly who they were. But I believe what happened, now this just my little 2 cents, and Brother Sean, you kind of mentioned it last week when we were talking about you're supposed to be going to your ancestors, asking them, you know, where are your people really from? And I think, Sis Sandra, you said that, well, my family never really talked about it. And then Brother Sean brought up, well, yeah, they probably didn't back then because they were trying to keep everybody safe. Okay, so
they had laws against it, I found out. They had laws against talking about it.
Okay.
You would be killed. You would be killed.
Yeah, they had laws against it.
And you know, what's interesting, and I don't know why this came to me, I could be wrong. I think a lot that had to do with it too, where the ancestors just kind of was like, fuck it, ain't no need to bring it up anymore because we done lost all of the land, which they still should have been bringing it up and writing the shit down. But anyhow, and a lot of them still did write it down. But I believe when the ancestors went and got that motherfucking birth certificate,
it's a doomsday report.
that was a wrap.
It was a doomsday report. Yep.
That was a wrap. Because I think they started that birth certificate shit in the 30s. And folks had to come in. They didn't have to come in.
Booker T. Washington.
They were having people come in to get on document, to get the birth certificate created. Okay, to get them on record per se. Now, this one sister, I haven't been in contact with her. It's been some years ago. She said that she remembered before her grandfather transitioned that he talked about how he went and got the stinking ass birth certificate. He didn't want to do it. He went on it and got it. But he wound up getting paid out for it. And he was saying that he was pissed because he didn't get what he was supposed to get based on all of the land that the family had. And so she said growing up, she would hear him talk about this, saying this piece of paper ain't worth shit. We got ripped off, woo, 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 this, that, and the third. And she said she remembered when he passed that he had a sizable amount of fiat that was set aside, and that came from signing up to get the birth certificate and all of that. So I think a lot of that probably played into, too, where the ancestors just said, well, forget it. We're not going to mention it anymore because, now all of this stuff is incorporated. Now they're taxing people. I
think a lot of the churches got a part of that, too, because I think Booker T. Washington is the one who set that up, convincing people to do that.
Oh, wow, to go get on paper?
Yeah.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, so he's the one, and then the preachers, of course, they carried it on, I think. That's what I remember. I'm not too sure about the preachers, but they started teaching that we needed to do that, and he started it and tried to convince everybody they needed to do it.
Wow. Well,
Frederick Douglass, too, I think it was. Him and Booker T.
And if you think about who those brothers were, they were oath takers. And when I say oath takers, I'm talking folks that are in all these motherfucking clubs, Masons, Moors and all of that, and they're high up in rank. Higher up in rank you get, more oaths you have to take. And look who we're funding. What'd you say, sis?
More crooked you get.
Yeah, and look who sponsors and fund them. Okay, so they had like the fake Jews behind the scenes funding them, telling them what message to put out, etc. So that would not surprise me if they were a part of recruiting our ancestors to go head on and get on paper with this birth certificate.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, and which would make sense because up to that time they probably didn't have a good way to track them. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think one of them, Douglas, was it, wanted to marry a European chick, and that was the deal. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that just came to my mind, that he wanted to marry a European chick. And to do that, he had to cut the deal, so to speak.
He did marry
Yeah, I thought he did, too.
Yeah,
that was after his wife passed. out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was years afterwards. But people forget that Moors had been sleeping with Caucasians because they all from over there in Europe anyway. And as far as for rights being given away, a lot of those rights were given away by traitors. People still overlook the fact that we was at war with each other through amalgamation and these Native Americans and this, that, and the other, these pale people. A lot of the rights and stuff were given away through the children that were created through rape or whatever else. It's not that actual aboriginals gave away. It was hybrid half-breeds, whatever the hell you want to call them. And them goddamn dirty Moors that look like us, but ain't us.
Right.
They didn't care who fucking signed it. It's all illegal anyway. The Moors thought that they were sending them over here to set up shop for them and control things for them, and they turned on their monkey asses.
They sure did. Yeah, they sure did.
Well, that's what they call them. I mean,
that's
that
exactly
monkey, the Moor
they
macaque.
turned on their monkey asses. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And that's
why
the
they
story.
always adorning their monkeys with feathers. They making fun of them.
Yeah, they are.
Right. That's the story that folks don't want to tell the truth about that dirty lineage and how the switcheroo happened. But the Aboriginals never agreed to that bullshit because think about it. Let's logically think about it. I'm minding my motherfucking business. What we call New York today, all of that, if you think about Manhattan, and I'm going to find that video and I'll post it for you all, that YouTube video that gives quite an extensive chronological order of how New York City was built. And my mouth kind of dropped open that they even put the shit out there. But of course they had the Indians as Native Americans, but even in the little video they put them as copper colored people, okay? But all of that entire New York land, you think about Manhattan, Long Island, all the motherfucking boroughs, all of that stuff, family, it was trees. It was trees and mounds. It was beautiful. That's all it was. They hit the shores, they fishing, they chilling. Ain't no concept of you paying no rent. What you renting for? It's the land. The land is the land. You live off the land. You want something to eat? Take your ass down there, get you some fish. Go on and get something up out the ground, off the trees. You straight. So why in the hell would the natives of this land barter and strike deals with the Europeans? What the fuck could they possibly have to give the natives? They had nothing. They had nothing to give. So the only narrative... I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
During the time when people were sitting up thinking that the U.S. was profiting off of the slave trade, but you can't find no slave ships. This was the shipbuilding capital of the world with all the trees and everything here. Exactly. Everybody wanted boats made from the Americas. Now, I mean, this being the shipbuilding capital, wooden ship capital of the world during that time. But no slave ships.
I ain't seen not a one yet.
But they found the sheep that was laying over Jesus. They found the little monkey woman Lucy in Africa.
Right.
I mean, they finding rocks and stuff that's supposed to be 300 million years old, but you can't find this big ass ship that allegedly brought millions of people over here. Ain't a piece of it left. I mean, you ain't make a pencil out of it, a chair. I mean, nothing. Y'all always keep something.
We have to say plural because they said millions of Africans were brought up.
That is such a lie. They only brought about 3,500. They only. I mean, we were like when. Okay, I'm gonna give kudos for Farrakhan for half a second. And that's when he had the Million Man March in October of 2016, I think it was. Mm-hmm. He had a Native American. I'm gonna label him Native American.
What you're talking about. He's not copper colored, but I know.
No, he's not copper colored. Only thing that was copper colored was one person. And I said, would you look at that? But anyway, I give him kudos for the fact that he had them there, and that man told everybody there was 112 million of us here when they got here.
Wait a minute, the Native Americans said that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, I got to give old boy props then for admitting that thing. Okay.
I'll give him props, but the thing is, they put all of them with that non-copper colored up there to say that they were it. And to stand with them. That's where my props in.
Yeah, that's the part I came in on, and I'm like, no, bruh, you gonna have to tell the truth all the motherfucking way. So
that was their part of the
conversation. Okay. And Sis Cheryl just dropped for me that Roots is a lie and a hoax. And this is called Do More Good Deeds. So I'm going to read this real quick, and then I had another point. Damn it. Let me go back to my notes because I don't want to lose that other point. I'll have to come back to it. I done lost it just that quick. Damn. Okay, I'll get back to it. Okay, so Roots, a lie and a hoax to steal American land. And thanks, Sis Cheryl. This is off of Do More Good Deeds, and I also dropped it on the Truth Uncompromised Facebook page. Alex Haley's 1976 novel, Roots, and the 1977 miniseries was plagiarized from the 1967 book, The African. There go that 67, and when did you say, Brother Sean, they changed the motherfucking definition? Did you say 69?
Let me see.
I think you said 69. They started some teachers association. They start calling them African American Teachers Association or something like that. Okay. All right. So now he done lifted this from some book in 1967. So remember these dates, because the dates gonna tell the fucking truth. The dates and the etymology, and what Grandma told you. Anyway, Harold Corlander, the white author of The African, sued Alex Haley in 1978 for stealing his story. Through testimony, it was revealed Alex Haley stole Corlander's work and lied about his African heritage. Okay, so let's note that Corlander is white, so let's not forget that, okay? So this ain't, Ray Nim or, Brother Abdul. This is a white man saying this. Okay, so Harold Corlander, who was white, wrote a novel called The African in 1967. The book is the story of an African boy captured by slave traders and his horrific trip across the Atlantic experience as a cargo in a slave ship and the horrors on a plantation in the new land. Corlander sued for copyright infringement. Orlander's pretrial memo of the lawsuit claimed defendant Haley had access to the substantial copied The African. Without The African, Roots would have been a very different and less successful novel, and indeed it is doubtful that Mr. Haley could have written Roots without The African. Mr. Haley copied language, thoughts, attitudes, incidents, situation, plot, and character. So let me see. I think they got an example here. Shit, I can't see this, y'all. Oh, so they got a little example. So this is out of The African. To the damp, sick foulness in the belly of the ship, there came to be added another torture, lice. They created on the face and the drank at the corners of the eyes. If the fingers caught the predator, it was killed between the fingernails. So that's out of The African. Here's out of Roots. But the lice preferred to the bile, I can't hardly read that, the belly, on the face. I can't hardly read it. It's real little, y'all. And they would suck at the liquid in the corner of Kunta's eyes, or the snot draining from his nostrils. He would squirm his body with his fingers, darting and pinching to crush any lice that he might trap between his nails. Yeah. Yeah, he fucking plagiarized it, y'all. So that was just a sample of putting side by side excerpts from The African and then Roots. Okay, so the federal... I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
No, I was just plagiarism. You know, Horace Greeley and Grover Cleveland. Horace Greeley owned the New York Times, I think it was. And they, I believe, since there were so few slaves that were brought here and sold, I believe they plagiarized the whole slave trade because they had control of the press. Just
of
like
course.
This flag crap, you know, false flag, they have control of the press. And they work up, you know, like they were shipping us to these Caribbeans and Sri Lanka and all those places. And they made them strip down and pretend like they were slaves. Well, they were captives of war. That was true. But not like they put out there so all these fake newspapers would have all these headings about slaves for sale. You know how they advertise that stuff really bad? That's really. So this is, you know, it's just really taken off of all this fake drama they have with the shootings and everything. So who was Horace Greeley? Was he a Jewish man? Probably.
Absolutely.
Grover Cleveland, the president. Who was he? Jewish? Probably. And that was a propaganda to steal the land by making us think that we were Africans. And then I said, like, Haley came up with this book that he plagiarized to put it out there so we can pretend like we Africans too and want to go back to the roots of the life. Yeah, okay.
And let's talk about the roots of motherfucking life. As Brother Sean said, and we talked about earlier when I gave my experience about doing the DNA, it traced back to Sierra Leone. And then we already talked about the history of Sierra Leone and Liberia, how they were set up as colonies out of the Americas from the invaders, which they're calling settlers. See how they do with the fuckery with the language? They call invaders, now they're settlers. What the fuck? But anyhow, how they were shipping some of us, and not a lot of us, because even the records said back then that they didn't want to pay a lot of money to keep shipping a lot of us over there. So it was really those two colonies that they set up or nations that they set up with Sierra Leone and Liberia, they were really experiments, family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To see if they could move a lot of us from here over there. And Liberia, they said a lot of folks died from disease. It was,
and now they're killing them with vaccines.
I don't think there's too many of us left over there now because the
From what I hear, they died off. From what I hear,
they killed them off. Probably. And then Bush went over there, and Bush went over there. Old George W. went over there and was drunk, up there dancing, and the president, the lady president, she was looking at him like she had seen the devil. And I said, you probably have. And that's when they started with that Ebola after that, not too long after that.
And see,
so they were using them as guinea pigs. Mm-hmm.
And Brother Sean, you may have said this. I think that you told me, we talked about this months ago. General is being used as an experiment.
Yeah, they are.
It's just being used as one big experiment. And when I ran across this information about Sierra Leone and Liberia, and I did get this information from Sis Phoenix Moon. She had just did a show on it about how they set up those two nations as colonies. That was definitely an experiment because they had an American, I can't remember if it was an American Aboriginal or if it was a Moor from stinking ass Britain.
It was American Aboriginal.
Okay, it was American Aboriginal. Okay, that was over it. They kept putting people to rule over that nation, trying to make that shit into a colony. When did Liberia get independence? Was it 83? I think it was 1983. And so, but the natives rose up against the Aboriginal Americans that was sent over there as free men, but they had been killed them off. But stinking ass invaders, the U.S. court kept putting leaders over there to just try to still make the natives of Liberia make them into a motherfucking colony. And that's why
they be having them wars.
Huh?
They be having all them tribal wars and all that cannibalism and all that stuff that going over there.
It's horrendous. It's horrendous. So that particular nation, and even Sierra Leone, with all the warring and the fighting over the diamonds, over the resources, all of that stemmed from the invaders over here trying to do the same thing to these two particular places. And, we know how they were doing it all over the rest of Africa. But they kept revolting.
1847, Liberian independence proclaimed in July. 1847.
Okay. It was something in 1983, because then that doesn't make sense if they had Charles Taylor. He was still ruling.
They had another independence in 1951.
No, 1847 is when they wrote that motherfucking stinking ass fake constitution.
Okay. Where is it at? They got a mixed up thing here.
Yeah. That's when they wrote 1847 is when they wrote that fake constitution.
Yeah, out of the colonization from the United States.
Yes.
See, those are still American colonies over there, so to speak. So all that war and stuff over there, they're benefiting from that. Indigenous people are over there killing themselves off. I mean, It really ain't got nothing to do with us for real, for real. I mean, in a way, it do because it was Aboriginal
that
from here
took their asses over there
that initially
from the start.
colonized the area. Right.
Yeah, they
Right.
wanted to get from the United States going back home. Okay, going back home.
I wasn't trying to get back home. They was just
No, they thought
passing
that
it
they
on.
were
They
going
was
to
good
set up their
Christians.
kingdom and
There you
live
go.
good, just like the invaders were living good over here.
Mm-hmm.
And they that shit reversed on them because they died out from disease. But the U.S. court kept putting leaders over there and funding them, still trying to colonize.
Mm-hmm.
And the people weren't having it. So that's why those areas are still warred, to this very day.
But my thing is this, though. If people honestly think that Africa is the land of milk and honey and that they got all these riches and all this, that, or the other, why the fuck is everybody on the planet trying to come here?
Yep.
Touché, bro.
Everybody and their goddamn mama and grandmama and them all trying to come here and claim to be from here. Everybody on the damn planet want to be from here. I mean,
and
even
they'll marry us here.
Even if you take that Roswell stuff, literal, the damn aliens had to crash in America. They did that. Everybody just wanted to be fucking here.
True.
Why?
Right. Okay. Right. If Africa is as great as they say it is, very good point. Very good.
Why
and
the best everything come from here? I mean,
exactly.
if we're diluted versions of Africans, why the greatest athletes, entertainers, everything is all from right here. And they can't say it's because we mixed with white people. They mixed with white people too.
More than we are.
So, what you got for us?
And, interestingly enough, when I know I keep going back to Cosmic Egg, but he laid it out so much for me to enter and understand. Even he said that the Americas, we're the closest to the innermost circle where all of the energy is emitting, or the aurora borealis. So
but that's also part of the reset.
Exactly.
That's the reset, the shift in power.
Yes, that is the reset. Absolutely.
And this is supposed to be the Holy Land, even though they say it's over there on the other side. Because Jerusalem was Virginia, and down in Peru is another Jerusalem, I think. All these cities were named after cities in the Bible. Some of them.
Well, and we talked about this
Butler.
Before. Yeah, that's Butler.
It's not that they was named after cities in the Bible. The thing is, the Bible named cities that already were.
Yeah, that's true.
Ain't nothing come about because of the
That already
Bible.
were. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've already talked about how the pyramids of Giza, where they want to put up the lie that they are the oldest. Well, it's already been scientifically proven that they're not the oldest. The oldest are actually over here. There are more pyramids over here, and specifically the pyramids of Giza. Now, I'm not going to say the other pyramids because I feel that the pyramids in Ethiopia are genuinely real. But that shit over in Giza, all of those relics, just go do some research, look this shit up on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos out there to talk about how the pyramids aren't real. all of those statues that they put up, they started building that shit in the 1700s, which would make sense. Think about what I said. The 1700s. As power was being taken away from the indigenous people over here. So they had to start creating this motherfucking story about which came first.
The chicken or the egg?
Exactly. Okay, so all of that stuff from a Giza perspective, all of it is man-made, and which is why they keep having to rebuild on the shit.
Well, you know what? I saw a video where they used cement over there for those pyramids.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to use cement until the Roman times. So,
right.
You know, those are not old
right.
pyramids.
So how you use the cement when you're supposed to be carving stuff up out of a stone?
Yeah. And some of the reliefs are not even carved. They're just painted.
Right. And they show where it's like rebar, how those stones, especially the statues, are cut in sections, and then they're
pieced together. They're
pieced together with rebar. Exactly.
Wow, rebar no less.
Yeah. I mean, literally, there's some excellent information on YouTube busting they stinking asses out. And the interesting part, this one man in one of the particular YouTube videos said, who would do that but the master builders, a.k.a. the Masons? That's what they're known for, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once again, them secret societies.
Secret societies.
Exactly. So just real quick on the Roots story, a federal judge, Robert Ward, who presided over Haley's plagiarism trial, said, "I did not want to destroy him," and found the author of Roots, Alex Haley, guilty of plagiarism, and the case was settled out of court. Later, it was learned the federal judge told Corlander to keep quiet about the huge settlement because the Roots author had become too important to black people to be torn down in public.
Black people.
Corlander was awarded $650,000, which is about $2.4 million today. And so it goes on to say, slavery is a lie. Roots and Kunta Kinte never existed. Alex Haley lied about his heritage. None of the written records in Virginia and North Carolina line up with Roots' story until after the Civil War. Despite his status as the United States best-selling storyteller, Haley's work has been excluded from the Norton Anthology of African American Literature. U.S. history is built upon lies and conjecture. Do not expect it to tell you the truth. Question your surroundings and challenge their rights to land. Where do they come from? Are they American or are they European? The Webster, I think you talked about this, sis. The Webster's 1828 definition of American does not describe them as the original inhabitants. Background on Alex Haley: he was a 20-year-old. Here we go, y'all. Here where the fuckery come into play. He was a 20-year-old U.S. government veteran when he wrote Roots. The general public is unaware of Haley's Roots autobiography being discredited and sued. The American transatlantic slave trade narrative is a billion-dollar industry for U.S. corporations and oil and gas conglomerates. But what would happen if the truth were to surface about it being a hoax and a lie to steal land from the American Indians, those they call African American quote, black people.
It is.
Would the corporations, the U.S. government, give it back, or would they find new methods to continue to usurp the land and use the life force and energy of these people to sustain their businesses? The novel Roots was translated into 37 languages. The book and movie is still used today in U.S. schools, taught in history class of people that never existed. Fast forward 40 years later, there is a pivotal scene in the new movie Get Out where the lead character picks cotton from the chair he is bound to and stuffs the cotton in his ears so he cannot be hypnotized by what is said. You must stop listening to the slave rhetoric and you must stop listening to the slave rhetoric used to construct this false reality. Get out of their system and reclaim your heritage. Okay. All right. So this article, and thanks, sis Cheryl, is from Do More Good Deeds. Roots, a lie and a hoax to steal American land. And I posted it on the Truth Uncompromised Facebook page. So there you have it, family. We kind of laid out for you how they started in, I'm going to even go back to the 1700s, because if they started in Giza, they wouldn't even call Giza back then. So wherever the fuck it was called back then, where the pyramids of Giza are built. Now, if they start going over there constructing those pyramids, and they were claiming they were over there discovering them when they were really building them in the 1700s, you can kind of see the chronological order of them rewriting the story as over here our ancestors were fighting to hold on to the land. Okay? So then when you get to, then in the 30s, they put everybody on paper, classified them as Negro, and then put them under their legalese jurisdiction. And then you fast forward to the 60s when they started creating the whole idea of the African American studies by two white men. And then they indoctrinated it to the melanated teachers to start teaching this narrative. Then Alex Haley steals a white man's story and turns it into Roots. And all of that is still being perpetuated today. Okay? So again, your job to pass on to your children is to correct that wrong, even from a storytelling perspective. Start doing your research to find out where your particular folks are from. And if you do so happen to have older ancestors living, have those conversations with them to get that information. I'm sorry, sis, go ahead.
Let's focus on nowadays. They got the conscious community, as you say, coming out there and making people believe the drama. And it's only because of money. It's all commerce. They're making money off of foolish people believing the stories. Because if you own the pen, like Alex Haley had the pen, he had the pen. Grover Cleveland had the pen. He's the one who gave the daggone smallpox on the blankets. So
right.
If they have the pen, they have the sword, because the pen is mightier than the sword. So they're using mind control to get people to think they're from Africa. And in doing so, it's for the commerce, because they want to take over this land and put you in the dirt. And that's 20 census. I didn't say nothing about it. But that's going to be a very bad census for those folks who keep saying they African Americans, just like Brother Sean said last week. You cannot use that because you have no place to go.
Right, because I want to know exactly who's claiming you. Who's going to claim you?
Who's going to claim you? And look at the prisons. If you were an African, they will deport you in half a second back to your Nigeria or Ghana or wherever you came from. But when you are, quote unquote, an African American, they have to house you here on this side of the planet because they won't take you over the other side because you don't belong over there. Just think about it. Our people need to wake up. They got millions of us in prison instead of being deported. When a Mexican makes crimes, ICE come knocking at their door when they're illegal. But when we do it, they get bigger and bigger and bigger prisons because we are indigenous to this land.
Right.
They can't anywhere.
And I'm going to go a little bit technical. Some of you will understand where I'm going with this. Some may not, and that's okay. You can do your research on your own, or you can not do your research on your own. It's totally up to you. This classification game that they are playing, family, it's all about commerce and land. Do not ever forget that. Commerce and land. If you are classifying yourself as African American, Black, white, Indian, those fall under the jurisdiction of D.C. They can monetize off of that. Okay? That was the whole point of getting people to get birth certificates in the 30s. It's a commerce issue to monetize off of you. And then furthermore, it confuses you and disassociates you from the land. Okay? So do not forget that. Those classifications put you under a certain jurisdiction. And now even the Moors will tell you that. Now this they are good at. What I fought them on is the fact that they tell you to nationalize with them. No, fuck all of that. But they are correct that it puts you under the corporation's jurisdiction. And it also separates you from the land because you're not even connecting the dots. Okay? So somebody else posted something stating that they literally posted, since when did Africans live on reservations? So they posted their, I guess it's their grandfather's card, and it says, Chimney Rock Indian Reservation. Has a picture of their grandfather, clearly a melanated man, copper-colored, near Ashland, North Carolina, governed territory, place of birth, Indian Reservation, Fort Gibson, Indian Territory. And then it says rural settlement called Gump Spring in Cott County near Newport. In my family holdings, I have a copy of an article for the Knoxville News Sentinel about the people of Gump Spring. Most are descendants of an Indian named Pinky Hunt, who married a mulatto girl. So there we go. We talked about that mixing. They had 10 children. I know very little about this mulatto girl. So I'm reading all that to say Your job is to get with your ancestors. Who you are is who your bloodline is. It's not who somebody tells you you are. And by all means, what some history book tells you that you are. So if you want to know this information, start doing your research. Now, another good source of information, and I've kind of been playing around with it this week. I'll continue to kind of play around with it, but I even saw where they have shifted a lot of these records. You can go to the Library of Congress and start doing some research on Indian treaties, on Indian wars, and I have some documentation somewhere. I'll find it, and then I'll share it when I put together a part 2 for me to do a little more due diligence on my side, where they have in these Congressional Library of Congress records the Indian quote tribes or the indigenous tribes by territory. And then they tell you when they strip them of their rights. They have this stuff on record. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You could also follow along with the census when they started shifting indigenous people off into the category of black and Negro, this, that, or the other, and you see the quote-unquote indigenous population going down and not being accounted for. But then at the same time, the white population is booming out of control by tens of millions. But we've always overpopulated them, and none of that shows in the records of population. I just don't understand how we the minority of back in the day, Grandma and them was having families with 10, 17, 18, 19, 20 kids.
Right, because 10 was the minimum back up in the day.
Yeah.
And that's not too long ago. That's my grandparents.
Exactly.
Having a minimum of 10 children. That ain't that fucking long ago.
Exactly.
No birth control.
Ain't too much of nothing as long ago as they would have us believe. Changing the calendar and, all that type of stuff.
Exactly. And specifically what you can do to get some clues, if you have family that talk about a bunch of land that the family owned, and that's where you can start asking questions and doing some research. Okay? Recently, I've been just talking to different people, and they all talk about my family has a bunch of land down south.
Yeah, we got it.
I said, well, my people from down south on both sides. So we get to talk about this down south and this land. Okay? One particular person was talking about her family still lives on some of the land down south, but they know a lot of it got taken away. So I just did some simple research on a person's last name, found land, a town named after their family's people. Then I took it a step further. Someone, South Carolina. I searched both sides of this person's family, just using the last name. And I took the mom's maiden name, found town and the mom's maiden name, which is not a common name, by the way, took his last name from the father's side, and I knew that just by in South Carolina we were going somewhere. And I said, you see that street is your last name, yeah? I said, don't you know that's your people's shit? He said, it's a lot of streets. But I said, that's your people's shit. Trust me when I tell you. So
yeah, the least up.
Yeah, so I did a search on that person's, both sides of the family tree. Sure enough, towns, counties pop up with these particular names on it. So I'm saying all that to say your family knows the area that your people had the land. You can start with that. If they even just tell you a city, or shit, they don't even have to tell you a city. They could tell you a state. Take your last name, especially if you don't have a common last name like I do, like Johnson. That's kind of hard. If you don't have a common last name, start searching the motherfucking towns. And I guarantee you it's going to pop up where your family tell you your land is. Okay? The key is what your ancestors told you, not what anybody else says. That's just the bottom line. Start taking back your story. I'm sorry, go ahead on, brother.
I say check death certificates.
Yes.
You got multiple sides. I mean, not only is it your grandparents, your parents, but both sets of grandparents on each of their side.
Right.
And then both sets from, I mean, it just multiplies. So.
Right. Right. And that's all you have to do. That's
a lot of people
point.
to go off into it. Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean,
Start with
all you got to do is
name.
trace back. All you really need to do is trace back about, I'll say 5 generations at the most, and that's establishing you here. I mean, any record beyond that ain't gonna be too accurate.
And here's the thing that's gonna trip you out. I've gone back. I think I'm about 3 back. From what has orally been told to me, so I got to get the paper trail together. But they all married within the same territory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn, that's tripping me out. And then here's what's gonna fuck you up. If you dealing with somebody, start asking them where their folks are. It kind of blew me away when the people that, that's your mate be from the same fucking territory. Y'all live in different states now. You may have traveled somewhere else. And I'm like, hell no, this can't be true. So all of this stuff really does connect people, but you have to get the answers within your own family. Start with grandma and them. And, if you got an auntie or something, start getting them names. And I guarantee you can start tracing that stuff back. But, yeah, the death certificate is a very, very good place. You can try with the marriage, but the death certificates are a lot more accurate. So very, very good point, Brother Sean. So I'm trying to see if I have any other thing to share, because I only had limited information on my own because I was depending on the expert to come on and chop it up with us. I'm sorry. Go ahead on, sis.
I said I was looking forward to hearing her. I haven't listened to her videos, but she comes highly recommended. So maybe.
Yeah. So I'll try to sync back up with her to, see if I can get her back on. Something must have jumped off because I still haven't gotten a response from her. So I'll definitely try to get her back on. But in the meantime, you can definitely still go out there and check out her work out on YouTube, Sis Phoenix Moon. Check out Dane Calloway. Is that right? Did I say that right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
The other brother, Dane Calloway. He puts together some really good documentaries, family.
Dark Man X.
Yeah, Dark Man X.
The autonomous one.
Yes, they really putting out some great information. And out of all of this that we've talked about tonight, it's our responsibility to start telling this truth out to our children, because part of brainwashing, a big part of it, is language. We talk, and Brother Sean talk about this shit. You've been talking about this for a minute, for a couple of little years now. Language is a huge casting of spells. Okay? So if we are still wrapped up in the language that was taught to us, the narrative that was taught to us, you're still wrapped up in the spell. So as you are breaking the spell, or as you have broke the spell, it is now your responsibility to make sure that that carries throughout your bloodline. So you have to teach your bloodline. You have to document it. So if you don't have little ones that you can influence, if you have grown ones that's like, yeah, what the fuck ever. Because in our ancestors' defense, not all of our ancestors sat back and not said nothing. Now, I ain't finna sit up here and lie on all of our ancestors.
No.
Some of them did. Big Momma and them, some of them was saying this shit. They would get indignant. Some of them getting a liquor or whatever, or get pissed. And they got to talking about what our family owned, how it was stolen from us. And then either our parents or some of us just let the shit brush over our head. Like, oh, that's grandma, that's auntie talking that bullshit, woo this, that, and the third. Okay? So even if you feel that's going to be the case with your own family, oh, they ass ain't going to listen to me, document it. Get your receipts together. Make several copies of that motherfucking shit so your story will be corrected. Okay? So that's about all I have on this. I will have to revisit it, family, and do some more research to put it together the way I like it to be put together, instead of off of other notes. I'll construct a better show for you all. Sis, did you have anything else you wanted to put on it?
No, I thought it was pretty good, really. So I think that even off the cuff, we did pretty good. So.
Yeah, we did based on what we know so far. So just to recap for the research, because some of you might be really excited and you want to start researching. Right now, like Brother Sean said, the death certificates. So get the family names from your people. You can search with the death certificates. If you have uncommon names, I am suggesting, and you have uncommon names, and last names or surnames, and the area where your folks say that you're from, you can start searching by the names, and you're going to start seeing particular cities and townships pop up in those very areas that your people say you have land with. Another good one, like Brother Sean said, are the census. That's an excellent one. And then the other one is the census records. Go back, look at those. Another one is the Library of Congress. You can look at the Indian Wars, look at the different treaties, and you're going to start seeing them breaking down by year, the particular territory and the so-called tribes, and how they pass particular acts to remove folks off of the land. Okay, so those are just some of the things that you can do to start getting together your receipts and document. So that's all I had. Brother Sean, did you have anything else that you wanted to put on it?
But overall, we still have to put everything in perspective. We are at war. When they originally attacked our ancestors, they knew exactly who the fuck they was, and our ancestors knew who they were.
Yep.
So, I mean, I still say getting caught up on all this paperwork and trying to get them to honor a treaty and this, that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
All them treaties is up. There's a whole brand new fucking ball game. And I ain't signing no goddamn paper. You bastards gotta go. Period. You gotta go.
Yeah, I'm not signing no agreements.
They lying about all this other land, this, da-da-da-da. I mean, there's plenty of places y'all can go within the scope of things that we know actually are. I mean, y'all are interested in the cold in Antarctica. There's plenty of cold in Alaska. Go bury your ass in Alaska somewhere. We ain't got to see you.
Right. The problem is they can't even really go there, because if we get back on the spiritual aspect of it, that's really the problem, because they wanted to keep ruling over the land of milk and honey, which is here.
Right.
But even Alaska, because that's when you're like right next to that Arctic, so, you know, right close to the center where the high vibration or the aurora borealis is shooting up those frequencies. Now we're to the point where they stinking asses can't even tolerate to be up there because the frequency is too high.
I just mean it's time for them to go. They gotta go.
Right.
Gotta go.
Isn't that wonderful?
Absolutely. So what's going to happen, period, and that's when 2020, because 2020 only 2 years, y'all. It's only 2, they motherfucking calculated years anyway.
Less than
2 years, right, where stuff is going to jump off. So we're talking the entire planet that we know. There will be no hiding because that frequency will be so high that they asses will not be able to handle it. And let's be clear, I'm not sitting up here just talking about no Caucasians.
That's true.
I'm talking about if you're not resonating, if you're not vibrating, you're not going to be able to roam what we call this planet, period. Your ass is out of here. Literally. We just talked last week about the poles shifting. They are admitting that the poles are shifting. Then on top of it, Byron Allen just bought the fucking Weather Channel.
Yep.
I kind of sat there. I'm like, did I just hear that right? They let a brother buy the motherfucking Weather Channel.
He ain't a normal brother.
Buy it at a discount, huh?
He ain't no normal brother.
No, he's not a normal brother, but they let him buy it for $304 million when they bought the shit for $3-something billion.
Yeah, but you got to remember who's actually running them. People think that the Rockefellers is the tell-all, be-all. When people don't get to see the melanated family that's actually
behind it. Yeah.
Exactly. The European nobility, that black nobility.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought about that on that fashion too, because it could be a dirty Moor rebuying it. But then the other side of me thought too that it's getting to the point now that they can't even hide what's going on in the skies. So they just like, fuck it. We don't want to be bothered.
Yeah, but what better way to throw us off guard and have us rechannel our energy or let our guard down because we figure, okay, a brother on the Weather Channel now, so he ain't going to be using that Doppler radar and all this type of stuff to interfere in the weather with them. No,
right.
9 times out of 10, any technology they using, we created. They ain't created a goddamn thing. They didn't know nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Right. And that's true. That's true. So, I see both sides of that coin, Brother Sean. You're absolutely right. It could just be some fuckery, and, he's going to keep it going. But either way.
Well, they wouldn't let Bill Cosby buy NBC. They destroyed Bill when he wanted to buy a network, but they going to let Byron Allen buy that network?
And he bought it at a huge
with all the influence and power that got?
And you know who he bought it from, though. That's what's going to blow your motherfucking wig back. He bought it from Rockefeller, carried them motherfucking ass, because he bought it from Bain Capital. And that's a holding company, which all of them behind the scenes pretty much owned. And I remember when they bought it, because I was in Atlanta and I was like, oh, shit, this is about to go to shit. And it did. The company went to shit. So I'm thinking that it's going to be some big disclosures coming into play from a weather perspective, because they can't hide anymore what's going on in these skies. They can't do it. Like I said, last week, somebody just straight up posted the 2 suns in the motherfucking sky chilling. A week before that, somebody posted the 2 motherfucking moons in the sky chilling.
Wow. You
got a rainbow. It's almost like a cloud rainbow just floating around.
Like an arch. Is that the one that looked like the arch? Yeah, I saw that one.
But no, this one is actually a cloud that's floating around. But yeah, the arches too. It's floating around with 2 rainbows chilling.
Wow, that's crazy. That's great.
Yeah, they cannot hide it anymore, family. It's getting real difficult for them to hide what's going on in the sky. So I think that has a lot to do too with them having Mr. Allen buy it. I'm sorry, go ahead, sis.
And too, they may be trying to go underground. They didn't make all them bunkers for nothing, because they know what's coming on this planet.
And the bunkers been destroyed.
Exactly. Yeah. And what difference does it make if you go underground if the vibration in this realm is too high?
Right.
I think folks are cutting and running.
Yeah, they are. Look at Trump's cabinet. I mean, he started with the people, and now he's just switched all the way around.
Yeah, folks are definitely doing a lot of cutting and running. They're trying to get themselves position. I didn't get all the way through the video that you dropped in my inbox, Brother Sean, about the reset, and it's basically, now this is another financial expert, and she's not in this whole esoteric or conspiracy theory folks sector. She's just a normal financial lady that's pushing gold. To me, she was pushing gold and silver, the part that I did hear about it. But anyhow, she's pretty much saying that they know that they have to reset, quote, quote, the system. And
give it back to the
they're planning a collapse. Though, you know, the parts that I did get through on the video, that's what she was saying. So I'm saying all that to say, all that we're talking about, Mama is going to correct it anyway. She's going to correct it very soon. But in the meantime, you master self and get in your proper place. Know who you are. Get your family standing on solid ground. So in between the time Mama doing motherfucking cleanup, now I'm with Brother Sean. This is my position. I'm totally with Brother Sean. I'm not signing shit.
No.
I'm not going up under no nationality, no treaty. I don't want to fucking be bothered. I'm native to the land, bottom line.
You're gone. Out of here.
Because that's who my bloodline is. That's who Big Momma and them said I am. And that's the end of it. So now that's just my position. And I'm just telling you, I'm agreeing with Brother Sean that a lot of folks that are entering understanding that they are indigenous to this land, that's the way we feel. There is no more, well, we going to re-sign a treaty, let you have some of the land. I don't want nothing to do with any of that.
No.
Let's clearly state who we are and keep the shit moving.
It got to go.
It don't have to be no big revolution, none of that. Just be clear on who you are. Teach your people who they are. And if you are in the position to go back to the lands that you know your family own, and if you can buy them with their fiat, buy it with their fiat. And we'll see where the chips fall, which they're going to fall very shortly in your favor. So that's all I have tonight, family. Next week's show, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research, and I do want to finish up kind of what we were talking about that changes here. So I'll construct something a little more formal. So that's all I have. Brother Sean, did you have any last words for the family?
Yeah, I mean, since we're talking about their reset and the so-called gold and silver standard, they got to give all that back too because it ain't theirs. Everything beneath and above these lands is ours too. Those natural resources belong to us.
Right.
So they have nothing. That's why the whole system is set up upon debt, because they came here in debt and they're going to leave here in debt.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm done.
Absolutely. Very, very good, Brother Sean. Sis Sandra, you have any last words for the family?
No, except for peace and love, family.
Okay, fam. So we will be back next week. I'll do a little bit more research to put together a show. I'm not sure which direction I'll go if I want to take one topic from tonight and expound on it a little more. So you'll just have to see when I put the promo out. I do want to thank you for your patience tonight. Sorry about we couldn't get the guest on. I hope that you got something out of it still on things that you could start doing for your own family and within your own family. So with that said, family, we are going to rock out. I started off with this song. I am going to rock out with the Spinners' original song, Sadie. This is dedicated to all of our Big Mamas who told us who we are, and we are who we are because of Big Mama's blood. So with that, family, peace and love, and we will see you next week.